Welcome to Therapy for My Soul. As always, I'm Lamonta Williams, your host. I got AJ Brown. We got Miss Latoya. We got Quincy and Johnathan. So what tonight is, I wanted to bring in the young boys, and I don't want to call them the old heads because they ain't the old heads, but I wanted to bring in my older crew, right? So tonight, I just wanted to talk to everybody and get everybody's opinion on what we've been going over through these last few weeks as we've been going through hurt people. So, as always, let's start off how we always do. How y'all feeling this week? Let's try to go in a little order tonight. We got all of us here. So, AJ, how you feeling this week, man?
I'm great, man. I'm not gonna stop my side. I'm straight.
Miss Tony?
I feel accomplished. This week has been good. Work been good. Everything been good.
Unfortunately, Junior next.
What Junebug do, man?
Not Junebug.
I feel stressed, man.
Okay.
And a lot of different places, but overall, I'm good.
Johnathan?
I'm good, man.
Hey, y'all need to move to H-Town. That's what it sounds like.
I'm good. This weather messed a lot of stuff up, but yeah, I'm good for the most part.
Understood, brother. As always, I mean, me, I feel like as long as I made it to this Friday and I was able to make rent, I'm good.
Yeah.
That's the main thing.
Gotta master the mission. That's the mission.
It looked like my sister watching. Hey, Becky, how you doing? Bigger than me. So let's get into some. As always, the church announcements. As always, we're gonna make sure we put that one finger up. We're gonna raise it. And we're gonna go through church announcements real quick. Okay. So proud to present the Developing Leaders Within Foundation has dropped and will be dropping tonight. And we will be announcing the second podcast in our whole media company, okay? My lovely kids, London Williams, Josiah Williams, what we did was we was able to go ahead and put them together a little after-school special, okay? It is going to give y'all a little brief review of their week. They want to talk about a few different things. My kids believe in going triple-double in life, and that's school, home, and community. So they're just going to give you a brief overview of what they had, how their week was, what their experiences was, and everything like that, okay? So there's Double Trouble Podcast, going triple-double in life, the balance between school, home, and community, okay? I promise, don't judge them. They just talking they shit like they daddy do, as always, okay? So that's the Double Trouble Podcast. Carnival, okay? We did say that we was going to have the carnival on March the 26th. It's kind of looking like our date gonna change, but give us a little time. Give me to the 17th. If our date changes, we definitely gonna put that out there, okay? But everything else, as of right now, everything is still a go with this carnival, okay? Next, the calendar fundraiser, okay? I had a few mark-offs this week. I got a few more to go. I need y'all to buy this. Get this now, okay? It's here. We got a few dates out there left, okay? I'll repost this on Facebook. It'll be on the Developing Leaders Within Foundation page. So make sure that you buy a square, okay? As far as now, proud to present one of my good friends, Iris Swell. She has a book out on Amazon now, okay? Iris book. I'm doing this. It's on Amazon. Go purchase. It's only $10. It's a good self-help guide to the women, okay? I ain't saying the brothers can't get it, but make sure that you pick up a copy of this. This is a local Houstonian that has put her name out there on the market now, okay? True Barbecue. AJ, you want to tell them about True Barbecue on Instagram?
Go to True Barbecue _, and y'all be able to find my barbecue business. Y'all let me know. We do catering and events, weddings, whatever you need done, we get it done.
There you go. KK Services. That's our lovely admin assistant from the foundation. That's Miss Kayana. She started up her new business. So, tap in with Miss Kayana for all your prints, documents, and everything like that you do need. Baddies Beauty Bar. is still looking for a nail ambassador, okay? I know. Listen, but this is a black-owned nail shop, okay? It may be my wife, but I'm still judgmental. She good at what she do, though, okay? So, Baddies Beauty Bar on Instagram, all right? That is all the church announcements. That's all I got. Anybody else got any more announcements they need to make real quick before we get into this good old life?
I'm gravy.
Okay. Okay. All right. So as we know, Black History Month is upon us. Y'all want to talk about some Black history? So I posted a status the other day, right? And in my status, what that status said is Black history does not begin with slavery.
I've seen that.
How you feel about that quote?
What you mean by it?
A lot of us get that a lot of us get it mixed up that Black history, like when you learn Black history, all you learn about is slavery. Why is that the only thing that we know? Where is that already we been all these years as slaves?
Is that not part of the history though?
American history.
Are we trying? So okay, elaborate as far as American history because I want to get your opinion on that.
Well, I feel like, African history there's a lot more to that, but when you talk about American history, that's all that we know because we not originally from here. So, us coming here and being used as slaves, that's our history as far as for African Americans, from my understanding.
Understood.
I feel like it's way more than slavery. Like when people think Black history, they think slaves. Like when we shouldn't be like just that whenever they think about Black history. Oh, it's just because they were slaves. So we worth more than that. And even growing up in Magnolia, like we didn't really learn about Black history, which is kind of sad, but it's true.
We only learned about Martin Luther King, Malcolm X's, the loud people, the people that make themselves known. We didn't really hear about a lot of the underground people, Harriet Tubman, them slave celebrities is what I like to call them. But I personally feel as though as bad as much as it sucks, that's part of our history.
Yeah. I mean, it is, and it's like everybody said, like, I don't feel like that it's all of our history, but it's just what we've been taught. And that's like, that goes back into why we do this podcast, because, we're trying to break those generational curses and unlearn those bad behaviors. So, like, I don't want our people to just think that, oh, we was only slaves and that's it. A lot of our people were people that that we invented a lot of the shit that we even still use to this day.
Yeah, very true.
So, I mean, I just wanted to make sure that we
It's really one of the things people look at as just the depression and oppression stage instead of the happiness and the goodness we brought to the world. It's
That's
like
a good word.
I've been watching this hip hop evolution show, and it's like showing just basically not about how hip hop only evolved or whatever, but it's basically just saying how Black people brought something to the world, and it can be taken away from us. It can be shadowed. It can be, taken and just made another way, but it was originally from us. And I feel like we shouldn't just limit ourselves to a month of celebration. Push it on past that.
With the Black Lives Matter movement, I don't think we did that. I think we actually are because let's just be honest, there are a lot of Black opportunities to come and open more than there ever have. That's something that I don't want Black folks to get stuck on is thinking that it's always we down. We only as down as we let ourselves be. I don't try to let Black folks around me want that self-pity. Self-pity is something I feel like is plagued our community from now to today. We want to continue to keep that, well, the white man hold us down, don't nobody fool with us, but then we don't do anything to, them be the same people that kind of, do the wrong stuff. I ain't trying to put us out like we all do that because we all don't. It's actually a higher percent of us that are acting right. It's just we get labeled with those people.
It's the ones of us that want to play victim. Like,
yeah,
it goes back to a previous episode, where we did discuss slavery was a choice, and I don't think we actually put that one out. But that discussion of slavery was a choice. I mean, it goes back to that, but I don't think we want to go too deep into that conversation tonight. Okay, so now a little Black History fact, right? Did y'all know that the 68? How the hell? Look, I should ask the producer how to say this first. 6,888 battalion, right, was the largest black female battalion in World War II.
Wow,
that didn't know.
That was a good fact. I did some research into getting that one, and I had to really dig for that one. But also, a lot of us know, but a lot of us don't. Thurgood Marshall was the first Black Supreme Court justice. A lot of us, we see the schools named after him and everything like that, but until we actually start to dive a little bit deeper into our culture, and we will understand who this man is now. And it's just not schools just named after him for no reason. Because I know in Dallas, schools, it's roads and everything else that's named after him. But you never know why.
Yeah. I'm gonna say this. I don't mean to cut you off, but I'm gonna say this. I might piss a lot of people off, but
oh God, go ahead.
I know. Here we go. But at the end of the day, I feel like this: Black folks shouldn't rely on the white school system constantly to teach us about these things. We should take it upon ourselves to actually go out and learn. And that goes to generations of parenting. I personally feel, coming up as a father, I'm teaching my kids the things that my parents didn't teach me as far as Black history goes. So I don't want to keep putting that on the white system because it ain't there. That's not their agenda. That's not what they're trying to push. What are we trying to push?
Right. Where are we trying to be?
Yeah, exactly.
Some people have parents that don't even know about their own Black history. So how can they teach their kids?
That's true. But
that's the whole point of taking up a chance to learn it.
But if they care, do they care? That's the problem.
Nope.
Right. A lot of kids nowadays, this generation, they don't care.
Yeah. Black history is Michael Jordan.
Right.
LeBron.
Like I said, I ain't trying to piss nobody off.
I mean, but what you just said was a fact, though. It's not about it being an opinion. I mean, it's like you say, our culture is lost. And our culture is wrapped around slavery and sports.
And sex.
And rapping.
Sex.
And sex. That is the main things that go on in our culture.
Let me ask y'all though, because I want to wrap it back around to. Do y'all feel like there's something that is hindering Black people though, in general?
Ourselves.
That's what I was gonna say. Ourselves. Yeah.
No
mentality.
Like no government, no people, no system.
Ownership.
I mean, I can't sit up and say that that it ain't government oppression, but then at the same time, it's us oppressing ourselves because it's like, how long can we lay down as victims? At some point in time, you got to get up and you got to stand up for yourself.
Right.
I'm not saying that everything that I have that I've just worked my ass off for because I've been lucky to have Keisha and Cedric, but honestly and truly, I got up off my ass and I went to work. A lot of us, we still stuck with, I want, I'm on food stamps, I'm on housing, I'm on TANF, I'm on WIC. Like you getting every fucking type of government assistance. So how can you ever get from your oppression level if you're steady relying on the government?
Called a government syndrome.
It get comfortable. Get real comfortable.
Government.
But they don't know nothing else. So all they have is, and it's not, and they get like y'all said, and so they get stuck in that same system, and they don't know how to get out of it.
Yeah.
So how do they get out of it though? Like if you've been, for instance, you 18, you 17, you have a daughter or kid while you're in school, you drop out, you go and you start, trying to do jobs, but nothing really working out. You get on food stamps. So now you surviving through food stamps. And now whether you're a single father or a single mother, you taking care of your kids and you doing food stamps and you on every government, like y'all said, but how do they get out of that system?
But see, that system is a mentality thing. Like if you're gonna rely on the government and just let the government be everything you can be, well, hey, that's you. But see, I ain't tripping on people that got food stamps. I done had them, low key. But at the same time, my mentality wasn't to stay there. My mentality wasn't to every time I have a child apply. That wasn't my mentality. Not trying to sound perfect, but it's like we get into this groove where it's like the government was the reason why we fall, and we continue to let it be that way. Like, I always say about Black Wall Street. I might have a lot of disagree with me with this, but I'm fine with that. I personally feel like kind of like how ants make a new ant bed when you crush it. I feel like that's how we should have been with Black Wall Street. We should have built. They knocked down one. We should have built 16 of them. We should have kept pushing. But it's like we always had that. Okay, well, the white man came in every time and just stopped us. So what were we gonna do?
Right.
Other nations of people do that.
I don't think there's nothing wrong with government assistance. I think that people should take advantage of it when they do have it, but they should want to do better. Like, you get food stamps or your children get Medicaid. You should use that money that you don't use for Medicaid and food stamps and try to do better. Try to find you another job. Try to find you a better place for you and your kids, whether you're a single mother or a single father. Don't just stay in that place. Don't stay in a rut.
Straight up.
So it looked like we got a question from the audience. Of course, the damn Trouble got a question tonight, man. Trouble, how can we help you? Drop your question in the comments below, and we'll definitely, one of us will definitely answer whoever we feel is best. So, Johnathan, you got something to touch on that? Or you want to answer that question?
I got a few for you, sir, Quincy. It's just when you said they can't do anything to get out of it or they don't know what to do, it's basically like he said, it's a mindset thing. It depends on how they were raised. It depends on what they look at life as. If you can't get out of a situation that you put yourself in, then you shouldn't have put yourself in that situation from the start, because it's only going to hurt you and your kids if you continue to live that way. And your kids are not going to see anything differently. It's basically like how when we get older and we see somebody we grew up with and they on drugs now, we could help them. We could try to help them get out of that situation, but it's going to be up to them also to want to help themselves. Mm-hmm. So yes, the government is giving us assistance, but if we're not going to accept that assistance the right way and use it the way we should, it's not going to help us.
Well,
there's so many people. You can go ahead.
Okay. And I don't disagree, but here's the difference. I think, like, probably for everybody here, there was like a person in your life who drilled on you a lot harder, or a person in your life who motivated you, or something in your life that motivated you to push past all of the things that they say hold us back. And in other people's life, they don't have fathers, the same stereotypical things that's in their life, and they don't have that. Like y'all said, if they don't have a father, and then they don't have the mother teaching them how to be a woman and how to grow up and how to change the same systems, then they just gonna keep following those systems.
You're talking about a generational curse of basically.
Yep.
Right, exactly.
Okay.
And so that goes to the question that Kayla's asking in the comments right now, right? So Kayla's question is, what are you asking each one of us? What are we doing to change the Black narrative if the issue is taking ownership, right? Mm-hmm. So I myself, me, I pride on myself. I started a brand, Developing Leaders Within Foundation. What we do is we break the generational curses using the ICE squared method, right? Which ICE squared method breaks down to integrity, courage. Oh, Cam, help me on that one.
Education.
Integrity, courage, excellence, and education, right?
Right.
And so within them four processes, I feel like that what we're doing is we're taking a generational curse and we're stopping them here, and we're creating a point here, right? So we skipping over all that dumb shit in the middle, and we're helping them unlearn past behaviors that are hindering us as people. I want to take these kids' mind and transform their mind into something that they've never seen before. So if that's what you used to seeing my mom and my daddy fight every day. My dad is an alcoholic. My mom is a prostitute, or so forth and so on. I'm trying to change their environment and place them into a better situation. So that's how I can say.
Right. And honestly, I can agree with that. People always ask, "What are you doing to change the black community?" And I say, "I'm gonna start with my kids." If I'm pushing my kids out there to the world with the good advice and the good teaching that I'm giving them, then they can put that on somebody else, and they'll teach their kids. I want a generation of people that are pushing the right thing.
Right.
So, in order to do anything, you got to start at home first. You can't go out there protesting, advocating. Start at home first.
One of the young boys, y'all want to answer before Toya do?
No,
she got it.
You said you want to order.
They ain't at that age yet.
I was gonna say, I like helping people. I like being a role model because I've been through a lot. So I like to talk to like young women that's not at the place that I am, but how to get there. I sell cars for a living, so I like helping people level up. So that's what I like to do. I like to help women level up, get to a better position in life. Starting when they little girls, I leading by example.
That's what's up.
I need to call. For me, I'm I do a lot of volunteering and for a lot of different organizations, but I try to mentor. I mentor one kid in West Dallas through Mercy Street, but I try to do a lot of giving back to the community as much as possible, and I plan on continue to do so and building stuff. And I got some good leaders to follow behind, so try to get where they at.
Okay, most definitely. I mean,
oh, go ahead.
Oh no, go ahead. I was waiting on you. I saw you had to go on mute for a second. We're a real live podcast. We don't have no edits. We real live.
So I would say, my thing is, I don't necessarily mentor but I do want to start a foundation. And me and Quincy have talked about that a few times. But whenever I get a chance, I would go back to my high school, man, and interact with the kids up there, which I am getting ready to probably join one of the foundations they have up there called Young Life, which they are basically just reaching back out to the kids. They take them on like trips and stuff, and not just regular kids. We're reaching out to special ed and everything because they're a part of our community. But I have been doing this thing to where when I was growing up, I was so bad on just throwing everything away when I didn't want it anymore. Not just food, but like clothes, shoes, whatever. But I've been taking a heed to the neighborhood I'm staying in and all the crackheads and drug addicts. So I try to give back to them to show them that there are still people who care for them. But in the future, my interest of peak is I want to be a real estate agent, and I want to not only sell majorly to the white community, but mostly to the black, because there's a lot of black people who don't have that source of help.
Have you started taking classes?
No, I'm in school already for aviation maintenance.
Oh, cool.
Oh, wow. That's a good
So
field.
once I finish that, it's like I didn't want to belittle myself to whatever, just one thing. So once I finish that, I'm jumping on the real estate. After real estate, I'm planning on starting something else. As of right now, working with him, I'm in the midst of starting my own pressure washer business.
So aviation maintenance, is that airplanes?
Yes, airplanes, roller coasters, cars. It really just it's around the whole automobile, anything, because we're learning all of this stuff, but it just comes back to every other thing. You can just take one set of the information you're getting and go do this.
That's what's up. That's different. I ain't never heard of that before.
You see, I do. That's why I did want the young boys, because like where the young boys' mind is, it's like they getting to the point to where we at now. All of us are at a different stage in our life, but when in reality, when you look at it, where AJ and Toya is, that's where they're at because of their age, and then I'm in the middle, and then you got the young boys behind me. You see, y'all have been dubbed the young boys, so that's what y'all gonna be called in the podcast. Right. But it's like the knowledge that they bring, it helps us as the older people in the room, or the older people talking, it helps us understand a different mindset because what they're experiencing right now, we didn't experience at that age.
Mm-hmm.
So I just keep going. Man, that boy aviation maintenance, like damn.
Yeah, that's
like,
a hell of a
field at that age.
At that age, I wasn't worried about nothing but football.
Mm-hmm.
You know, football. And see, now that I'm, because my most confusing part of my 20s was when I was 28. You know, going through relationship scuffles and money and understanding that okay, it's gonna get real, and then it's almost like you got this clock as a man. By the time 30 hit, you need to have this, and this in order. And you it's a very confusing point at 28, but when I hit 30, that's when stuff started to come a little more clear. That's when I started to ask my father for more advice. I started, connecting with the right people. But I started noticing that I lost a lot of friends in the process of that.
Oh yeah.
You always gonna lose friends. I mean, as you grow, as you grow, like every tree don't keep the same leaves.
Right.
I mean, I probably didn't say that right, but I mean that's just being honest.
Yeah, and one mistake I know I made as a 20-year-old, and this is something that I can pass down to them too. I moved way too fast when it came to relationships. I know from 20, I say even from 19 up until you about 30, that should be that time where you make all your mistakes, make all your sacrifices, get all that out the way in your 20s, learning yourself. When you add someone into that mix, that confuses it. And I know that's one of the mistakes I made. At a very
I feel like, it depends on how you look at the situation because not everybody is ready for a relationship inside of themselves. But that's what we see from outside and we've rushed to get in that relationship.
That's real.
So if you can't be on the same page with your partner or y'all not physically and mentally there, it's not going to work regardless of what age you are. You can be 50, 60, it don't matter. So you have to be at that level of where you can be with somebody and they can be with you. If that don't work, done deal.
Okay. Okay. Now
that boy look, and you see that's why I wanted all of us on here because the young boys are gonna challenge AJ and Toya because they're looking at it from a different mindset and they're looking at it from a different age.
But we don't know what Toya think. I want to know what she think.
But wait, look, I got that list. That question that was just asked in the comments. I want Toya to answer that question.
Okay, let me see.
So I want to see it, and this come from Trouble again. Like Trouble trying to give us all the hard questions tonight.
Hey, I'm sorry.
He said, I'm sorry. So the question was asked is, what happened in your life that made you want to change your own narrative? Was there a life event or a person that encouraged you to get out of the toxic generational cycles?
That's a hell of a question.
That's a hell of a question. And that's coming from what, a 21-year-old?
No.
Oh, she's 12. I'm sorry.
She's 20.
23.
Yeah, she's 23. There you go.
Okay, so that question coming from a 23-year-old.
That's beautiful.
This is the future Miss Williams that asked this question.
I like them both.
Oh, okay. Oh.
That's beautiful.
Well, I guess it's all on me. So after I separated from my ex-husband, I was staying with my parents and I had my son. He was just a baby, like 1 or 2. And so I basically wanted better for him and better for myself as well. I was working like a minimum wage job. And then I had this girl, she worked in car sales. She asked me like if I wanted to get in the car sales business. I'm like, car sales, ain't that commission? So I just basically kind of took a leap of faith because I don't know anything about cars and I still don't. I've been selling cars for 6 years and I still don't know a thing about cars, but I know how to finesse and I know how to talk.
Yeah.
I ain't coming there.
She kind of encouraged me to take that leap of faith to do better for myself. And after I started selling cars, I made a lot of money and I got my first apartment. I got my first car by myself with nobody else and no help. So I would say she definitely changed my lifestyle and gave me that push to kind of get out there and do better for myself, do better for my son. And I just been doing better ever since.
So you saying that one situation changed the whole narrative of how you thought?
Yep.
When
Especially
it came to-
I feel like that definitely changed how I thought.
Right.
It
You feel
opened me
like
up because I was like really shy before that, before I started selling cards. And I don't know, I just like to talk to people now.
So one career move, it dictated the rest of your life.
Yeah.
Okay.
was it the career move, or was it was it the fact that you didn't want to depend on no one again?
I didn't want to have to depend on no one because when I was married, I wasn't working.
Right.
This was like my actual first like real job, like by myself.
Right.
I gained a lot of confidence working in car sales. So I mean, it just changed my life for the better.
Okay.
And now I'm doing real estate, which is what yet again what I was saying, leveling up, because real estate is much bigger than selling cars.
Okay, most definitely. So I mean, so like now I want to get into it. Like I know we've been at this for 30 minutes and like we've been recapping and we kind of, tore the band-aid off a few new things. But just like a brief recap over the past week, our segment has been hurt people hurts people, right? We did like I said, we did our separate ones. We did the one with me, Adrian, and Latoya, then we did me, myself, and the Youngboys. And we coming back together now, and that's what we're here for tonight. And like tonight, like I came up with the topic because like this is what my week has felt like, honestly. And I want to expose something new to y'all today, okay? What that is going to be, well, first off, I want to remind people, while we was going through this whole process of hurt people hurts people, Quincy talked about the relationship with him and his dad, my brother, and then the new marriage that's about to be in, how many days we got, bro? We got a few days.
3 weeks.
Oh, we got 3 weweeks. So then, Johnathan talked about him in a new marriage with him being married for about the past month and a half now. And, Toya talked about from the previous marriage and the professor. You got deemed a new name, bro. The professor. So
hey,
now,
I heard. I don't know how I feel about it, but I heard. I take it all like it.
And so AJ is like, we know it's the issues when it comes to dealing with the other parent and co-parenting with another parent that you're not in the household with. So we've been through all those issues and we've been able to express in how to deal with those issues from what we've learned through our time. We ain't professionals, but this is what we've done. But now I want to talk about this other segment, and what this segment is going to be is words matter, okay? If y'all pay attention to what's going on at the bottom, at our banner, it say, if you never healed what hurt you, you will bleed on people who didn't cut you. Your words are intentional in what you say, and this is what we have to worry about, okay? Words matter. I cried this week, and I ain't gonna lie. I cried because of something that was said to me. From Adrian, me and you talking about legacies when it comes to our children, from me and Quincy and me and Johnathan talking about them potentially having kids. So I'm transparent, right? And we talked before, and I have 4 kids. Unfortunately, one of them is a bonus child, right?
Understood.
The words that were said to me this week, it hurt my feelings. And I can sit here and I can say that to y'all now as a mature adult. Them words hurt my feelings. They made me cry. It hurt. Like I felt like that my heart was being ripped out of my chest. But I was able to get over it because I understand my emotions, and I can't stay weak too long because I am the leader of my household, right? But what we have to realize is the words that we say, we got to be careful. You know me, I'm quick to respond to anything and everybody. Like you say something to me and you may get cussed out without me even thinking about it.
You talking to me, huh?
No. It wasn't you.
Talking to me.
It wasn't you. And so I just want, somebody sent me something this morning, okay? And it's the greatest things to learn growing up, right? They didn't know my week. They didn't know what I had been through. They know none of the struggles. But that person knew me. And they know when we ain't talking 4 or 5 times a week, it's something wrong. And so we go through our counseling sessions. And today we had like a 3-hour counseling session of just, us talking about how they felt, how I felt, how our week had been, and everything else. But the greatest things to learn growing up, I am allowed to feel my feels. Quincy, I think that is like just knowing you, I think that would be like the perfect thing for you to explain. I am allowed to feel my feels. Because growing up, like we weren't allowed, like we weren't emotional growing up. We weren't allowed, like we used to say, if you say I love you, it was like you disrespecting me. But like you was the one that was emotional. Like you helped a lot of us. You was a crybaby, but like you helped us understand that a little bit more. So like I want you to kind of cover that a little bit. I am allowed to feel my feels.
Well, I'm a counselor. I'll start off by saying that. But yeah, I was super emotional, man. I needed a lot of stuff growing up. I needed a lot, and I got it from whether it was family members or friends, and if I couldn't get it, I always in a way I craved it. I needed it, and so
What did you need in specifics? Like, what did you need?
Validation, acceptance.
yeah, I need one of the and it's hard to say a lot of things, but one of the biggest people that I try to get acceptance from was money. Like money was young. He was, 18, and we was staying at his apartment, and I wanted to be like him, and, and me being, me being a part of the family the way that I am, like from my daddy's side, it's not as impact as it was like my cousin, because he's from the mama side. And so I don't have a mama side because all her family, like, well, I don't know them at all. All I had was my daddy's side. And so I wanted to get acceptance from everybody I possibly could because that's all I have. You know what I'm saying? And so him as a man, it mattered to me. And I didn't always get it. And I didn't feel like I got it all the time. And I just kept trying to get it. And so, yeah, I was a crybaby. He ain't lie. I was a crybaby. I throw temper tantrums, but he did too.
How old was you when you was going through these things?
It was when I first moved. When I first moved to Houston, I was 18, and like I can sit here and say, no, I thought about that, and I do apologize not only to you but to Keontae, your sisters and everybody else, because I left at a crucial point in time. When I left, y'all was just getting into the groove of I'm finding myself, and I was a bigger part of that, of y'all finding yourself, because at that time, I mean, maybe I was still damaged, but I knew where I wanted to go, and I knew I wasn't going to be no failure. And I failed. I did. And you can see where I failed at myself. And like I say, I do apologize to y'all for that. I left at a point in time where I should have been there for y'all, but in order for me to get better for myself, I had to take that break and I had to step back. But now I'm able to come back now, and it's just like, how me and Johnathan said, the camping trip, we was able to, boy, do you know how many kumbayas we have at camping trips?
Hey.
So now, I mean, the next one, honest communication is available. Miss Toya, you touched on that last time when we was in, when we talked about y'all series of Hurt People Hurts People. So honest communication is available. Oh wait, Quincy, y'all ain't say you sure did cry a lot. But yeah, Miss Toya, I feel like that this has been like, that is one of the biggest complaints that I did hear in what you were saying is honest communication is available.
I mean, communication is definitely the key top priority. Not even like in relationships. It could be like with families too. Like if you're not communicating with your parents not communicating with you, your sisters or nobody. Like as young people, like who can you talk to? Like if there's no communication.
And
Who
Johnathan, I mean, you
who can
figure
you
that.
express your feelings to? Like you was asking Quincy, like I'm allowed to feel my feelings. Who are the young people going to tell their feelings to if they feel like they can't communicate with their parents or their friends? So I'm
In a lot of, I'm sorry, not.
Oh no, go ahead.
I would say a lot of times in black homes, to be honest, it's harder for a child to communicate with their parents, and depending on how that child was raised, um, because the parent is kind of like the parent just pushes off the child's issues. That issue's not as big as mine right now, so I'm not gonna worry about what they got going on. Let me
Right.
worry about my problem.
Mm-hmm.
And so we look for outsiders to communicate with, whether it's another family member of another family group, or it's somebody we don't even really know yet.
Gang.
And it's like when you talking to them, you gotta kind of be careful with what you say because they can lead back to your household and they can ruin a lot of stuff. It just depends. But you got to be able to talk to somebody, and if you can't, that's not going to help you in any type of way.
I'll say this. That's when you start seeing cuts on kids' hands, and they talking, writing letters about I don't want to be here no more. You that leads into that when you don't have nobody to talk to. But
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna say this about that. I personally feel like that's a parenting issue also. That's another thing about hurt people. Hurt people hurt kids, and that's where a lot of this start. When we were kids, and then we lead into it. Like I said, that generational curse. It's building up on itself again. And I personally feel as though if kids were able to, and not even just parents, when we go to church, especially our black churches, that's a place where young teens, young men, young women should be able to go and say, hey, I need to get this off my chest. And we need to start promoting that,
Mm-hmm.
counseling, stuff of that sort. Because, I've never been suicidal. That sound like it hurt. But it's just one of them things where I personally feel like the people that are, somebody's seen that coming. No matter, as many people as people encounter, somebody's seen it coming. Somebody's seen that person going through that. And I personally feel like for the crowd that's listening, if you see somebody going through it, if they tell you, take it serious.
Yeah,
Right.
I agree because with communication, you never know like what somebody's going through. I don't know if y'all heard of that. The Miss USA Chelsea, she she committed suicide. Like she jumped from the 29th building of her
Oh,
apartment,
yeah, I did hear some about that. Yeah.
and she had just posted a picture on Instagram, and it said, "May this day bring you rest and peace." And
Mm-hmm.
that was her last post before she jumped off the building. So that's why it's just always good to communicate with your loved ones, with your friends. Just text and be like, or call and be like, "Oh, how's your day?" Sometimes all the time, I call my sister and be like, "Oh, what you doing?" And then I'd be like, "Oh, I ain't want nothing. I just wanted to see what you was doing." It's always good to like check on your people.
Right. And it's like Miss Katrina just said in the comments, sometimes parents don't want to see it. It goes back to like, okay, so let's think about it like this, right? Like y'all mentioned the suicide rate. And I went and got a fact today for y'all, okay? This come from the Denver Post. This was an article posted December 2021. And this was talking about just Denver statistics, okay? There are 10.2 deaths per 1,000. Per 100,000, okay? So for every 100,000, you got 10.2 at a suicide rate. And this is just talking about the black man. This is not talking about the black woman, the white man, the white woman, no other race. This is talking specifically about the black man, okay? Suicide is on the rise because we're not being accepted. It's like we just said, we're looking for validation from other people and other places, but where we really want the acceptance at, we're not getting it. I can't say growing up that I got all the acceptance and everything that I wanted, but my people, they made sure that I ain't never hit my head. I was able to translate that down to my nephews before I had kids to try to get them to that point. But like I just apologized for, I stepped out of their life too early. Luckily they changed into the man that they are today. But if I would have stayed, where would my life be? I had to step away to find the acceptance for myself, so then I can come back to them, and that same knowledge that I've learned, I've been able to push off, to other places.
Now, I want to say this is where you trying to be accepted, realistic though. Sometimes, I want to talk about that too, because sometimes we want to be accepted in places where we just don't fit, and I know people personally that force it. Is that
all three of us can answer that because we come from the same family dynamic, and honestly, for me, this was an honest to God statement that was made to me because if I expressed how my biological mother had, how she passed on before, but for a family member to tell you that you should end up like your mama. Meaning, deceased, on drugs, everything else. Hell yeah, I look for acceptance. I look because it was like, for you to tell me that, let me show you how I'm gonna shine.
Right.
It wasn't I'm gonna do better situation or anything like that. It was just, I'm gonna show you ain't as fucked up as everybody else in this family. So, like once my light started to shine, I started to prove them wrong.
Understood.
That's good.
I'll say that I grew up with four women in my life, so it was there was not many men, and the conversations that would be had, I ain't want to have them. Like going to the store picking up stuff that I shouldn't be picking up.
How was it growing up with that many women in one household for a young man at your age?
Man,
and how did it affect you? And how did it affect your decision making as an adult? I know you're only 21, but
a lot happened in my household, and it was a lot of different emotions, but I always felt like mine wasn't valued. I always felt like I had to value, like I had to be kind of like a dad to everybody in the household. Like I'm the driver,
You was looked at as you a man, so you supposed to do this. Okay, I see.
Yeah, when I was I was driving at 15. My mom never drove on a highway, so I was driving, Arlington everywhere. If somebody needed to go somewhere, I'm driving those far drives. And again, my mama don't know who her father is, so there was a lot of hurt there too. And she hate men, and she made that very clear to me, like growing up. And so I always felt like, again, not valued, not loved, in many different ways, not loved. And it wasn't on purpose, right? This is because of her life. This is what she'd been through. This is not knowing her dad. But it still affected me. And in my school, class clown, troublemaker, trying to, run away, all these different things, trying to get acceptance. So I struggle with finding that acceptance still to this day. I'm not
to this day. I was gonna ask you, how does that affect you to this day?
It's different because I feel like it has nurtured me in a way. You know what I'm saying? I feel like that's guided me to be a better person, and I'm more responsible because I felt I had to grow up at a very young age.
That explains why you get married at a young age too.
Yeah, I mean, hey.
Don't start your shit tonight.
Hey, you know me. I'm gonna shoot. Now
he gonna shoot.
Hey, we live.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, that explains a lot about you and your sister. What you doing is personal.
Yeah.
I can see why you moved the way you moving because you probably had to move at a 20-year-old age when you was 13.
Yeah.
So I can see that because right now mentally you even come off a little older than what you say you are.
Yeah.
So a lot more mature.
Maturity.
Yeah, there was a lot of stuff that happened, but I think one of the big things that made me grow up real fast was I was a senior in high school.
Mm-hmm.
And I was, grinding, trying to get as much money. You in high school, trying to drive nice cars and working as a security guard, and
That's a grown man job. That ain't no
man,
them long hours, 12-hour shifts.
yeah, it was bad. It was brutal, but still graduating, and then I see death. You know what I'm saying? So I witnessed a 2-year-old following the grandma across the street, and like right there, I'm right there, and I feel like I can grab his hand, but I'm unable to do it. In the car, like roll over, and then
Oh
I witnessed something that a lot of people in my life felt like was nothing.
Lot of people or a lot of people around you.
A lot of people at that time. It was a lot of people. Yeah, I mean, it was. Man, I got on the phone and told one of my friends, he a doctor or not. He was like, "Oh, that's normal." And it's like, what? You know what I'm saying?
That ain't
What's
normal.
normal?
It
Seeing
was
a
like,
child, seeing a 2-year-old.
and so it made me numb for a long time. You know what I'm saying? But it also made me want to be a police officer and chase down the person who did it, and get into the law field. But it also, I struggle with continue, like I struggle with being numb sometimes.
You've been numb your whole life. You had to be
Yeah.
for a lot of different reasons. When you did, and I know on this podcast I've been hard on women, but I'm gonna say this: when you go through what you went through, this is why at times. I personally feel like what you went through is something that men need to hear because a lot of men went through what you went through.
Yeah.
A lot of guys at your age go through what you go through, and they just don't know how to, express those feelings because all their life they've been told you don't have no feelings. You're a man.
Yeah.
You got to grow up and be a man. Men don't vent.
Mhm.
I always see this post on Facebook: Black men, who do you vent to?
Yeah.
And that's a
The
question
barber.
in a lot of homes. Fortunately, I had my father and my mother in the same household. It wasn't always pretty, but they did the best they could.
Right.
So sometimes I can come off a little understanding, but because I don't understand, I can't sit here and say I do because I never been through that. But I feel for where you're coming from.
So I do have another question in the comments, and like I read this question, like honestly, Jonathan, like I truly do feel like that this question is for you based off of what we talked about last episode. I know how Princess in Blue can be. So I do want you to answer the next question. At what age did you recognize that your parents are people too?
Mm.
When did you realize that they were dealing with tough emotional traumas? And AJ, you came from that same 2-parent household, and Toya did too. So I do want y'all feedback on them questions. After we get done, after Jonathan get done answering.
Understood.
I would have to say it took some time. Just to give you the backstory. My father was not a lawyer man per se. He was married. He was married to another woman when he got with my mama, basically, and that was that. But so it wasn't like I didn't grow up with him. He was there, father figure thing. He was there, but he wasn't always there. And I think what he looked at as for him doing, he taught me a lot of stuff. He raised me right, as far as respect and a lot of things. But what he looked at, I feel like what he kind of looked at as good parenting was just him putting us in sports and him doing this for us and him doing like that's not if you're not going to actually teach me how to be this way and how to feel and whatever, that's not helping me. So I had to watch my mama struggle a lot along with watching him struggle. So it was like I'm watching my mom deal with, okay, he's going back to her house now. So I'm finna have to deal with this child by myself. But at the same time, I'm looking at him, which woman should I choose?
Mm.
So it's like
And your
it
mama
made me,
hurting behind that.
yeah.
Yeah.
It made me realize, I really didn't kind of like my daddy. You know what I'm saying? I did not like that man. But I took heed to what my mama was doing. I'm saying, like, if you gonna stay in this situation, I can know ain't nothing I can do about it as a child. All I can tell you is how I feel. Either you gonna downplay it or you gonna listen.
As a child,
as a child, a teenager, and adult, if I tell you how I'm feeling about your situation going on, either you're going to listen to me or you're going to push what I say to the side because I'm your child.
Mm-hmm.
So it made it seem like, my mama was stupid, but at the same time, she stayed with this man because he was my father, and he was doing what he was supposed to do in certain situations. But my father was not just he wasn't all around the best man to me. You know what I'm saying? He was the epitome of basically a man that's just gonna cheat. That's just that. And
Did that
that's how
affect
me and
you?
my brothers was raised. It offended me sometimes because you cheating on my mama. But in the sense of as a sense of a young boy and growing into a man, I didn't really care because I didn't really, understand this whole point of dating a female anyway.
So,
So
at what age did you just say, a spade is a spade?
I think when I turned 14, hitting high school, it made me realize, okay, they're humans, they're going to make mistakes, but it's based on how they learn from their mistakes and what they're going to do.
Mm.
Because at that point, by middle school and high school, my dad and his wife got a divorce, and he was full time with my mom.
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
But it's like, it took you this long to deal with her and get that out the way this whole time. Like you know what I'm saying? It's not a good image. But at that age, it made me realize, I gotta treat women better than what I was doing, and I gotta treat these young girls better because they're not. We're even though we're young, we're still looking to be with somebody and just that one person sometimes. And I was after getting one heartbroken situation at a young age, I just stopped looking at women the same. So it made me just kind of come back to reality at that 14 and 15 age. We're human. My parents are human. I can't basically blame them for everything that's going on. They're still learning, they're still making mistakes, and they're going to fix their mistakes. And that was
Mm.
it.
Straight up.
All right,
Okay.
AJ, you want to answer that question? I mean, I can repeat the question definitely if I need to.
Oh no, no, no. I can get with it. My thing is, I had two parents in the household. My dad, he wasn't militant, but he was hard on us. He from Miami, so he counted days, so he from the hood, but he didn't come off ghetto to me. My daddy ain't really hood dude, but my mom, she from the country. So when you mix city and country together, you get two different results when it comes to parenting. You know, my mom was a little more lax about certain things. My dad was more on top of stuff. Do this, do that, because I'm doing this not for now, but for the future.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Growing up, I'm gonna say with my parents being together, it saved me from a lot of, I would say, a lot of wondering. Like a lot of times, people that don't have their parents in their lives together, they wonder what it could have been. If you and them was together, I ain't had to deal with that. And it's just, we not, like I said, we don't come from the same tree. We don't. When you got your parents in your life, it's a lot different. Now, I'm not saying that they didn't go through nothing. They went through their stuff, but I did come up and not have to see a lot of issues that a lot of people that didn't have both their parents in their life. So
Okay. And Toya, you may want to be careful how you answer this question because
I know.
she don't play and she watch.
Always watching.
Hey, you
Um,
know what? We gonna make a drop too for us too, and it's gonna say, "Damn, Trina."
for real,
But
but
yeah, just so you want to answer that
actually,
question.
something kind of similar to AJ. My parents, I grew up with both my mom and my dad in the same house. I mean, our growing up, it wasn't bad. Me and my sisters were good kids. I mean, we didn't grow up emotional. Like my mom and my dad, they didn't say like, "I love you" every day. Like every time Cinco get off the bus or he go with his daddy or anytime he leaves my sight, he says, "I love you." And that's not to say, oh, my mom and my dad don't love me because they do. I know my daddy will drive 5 hours if I'm stuck somewhere. He'll come over here in the middle of the night. If something's going on in my house or I need something, he'll be here. That's not to say that he don't love me, but I never actually like heard them say like on an everyday basis, "Oh, I love you," or "Give me a hug" or something. I know my baby now, he hugs me for random reasons. So I didn't get that when I was younger.
Right.
And I know my mama's gonna be like, "Twist."
Nah, because it ain't like that. It's not saying you ain't saying
I'm
that
not
you
saying
needed
like
that.
I know my mama would give me the shirt off her back, but she just never expressed that, "Oh, I love you."
Yeah.
But
Right. I mean, it's like I said, like growing up in our family, like, the word "I love you," it was foreign to us because, like me and my siblings, like, I have a sibling that's right above me, Christina. Like, we'll be like, "I love you," and like she'd be like, "That's gay."
It's
And
weird.
right.
It's weird.
So like now my kids, like they have this thing like every night before they go to bed, all of them yelling out, "I love you, I love you, I love you." And like for a moment, like I used to be like, shit, okay, what that mean to me? And then, but it's like, like I guess you want to say having daughters kind of made me soft.
Yeah.
Because like, my 5-year-old, like she was like, "I love you, daddy." I'd be like, I love you too, baby. Like I'm not going to not say it to my kids because they developed that and they've learned that behavior somewhere. And they've taught me how to love. So my kids broke that generational cycle within, me and myself and my family. I'm not, my wife is the same way. She didn't grow up with that. So she wasn't used to the, the "I love you" and all that. But our kids has made us that point. I mean, don't get me wrong, my wife, like, it's harder to break the nutshell with the wife than it is with me because I think my daughters have this special control over me.
Mm-hmm.
But honestly and truly, like, my kids are breaking that cycle. And they're getting rid of them generational curses. And it's like I was able to unlearn that negative behavior because of them. So if we know that it's possible for us to stop the generational curse, it's just all about us taking the initiative to get to that point.
You Courtney, she dropped a comment. She said, "Our mama didn't tell us I love you. That's why your mom does it."
And to explain, Miss Courtney is Miss Toya's aunt. And
Yeah.
so because they wasn't told that from their parents, when they had kids, they wasn't able to project that same thing on them.
Mm-hmm.
So it's, once again, hurt people hurts people.
Yeah, but is that a hurt thing or is that just like we
think
live
that's
in
more
every
of like the generational curse is what they was talking about.
Yeah.
I
But
honestly I can chime in on that one.
okay.
I heard "I love you" from my daddy a lot, but me and my mama had a better bond than my daddy did. So it's like not hearing from her, but I know she loved me. It just affected me different. So when people tell me they love me now, I just look at them like, "I love you," but I'm not finna say it. I'm not finna hear it come from me. But it's really just a hard thing to say sometimes.
I'm gonna just be real. When I hear it from my woman, I feel that. But when I hear from like from my daddy, he tell me he love me all the time. He be like, "I love you, son." I'm like, "I love you too, daddy," and that's it. You don't feel weird like it used to feel weird when I was a kid. My mama, she do the same. But see, I think with black folks, I feel as though we don't want to show our kids that sign of weakness. Because me personally as a man, I don't feel like I should be crying in front of my wife or my kids. That's just something that I don't believe in. That don't mean it has to be universal for men, but that's me. I will never cry in front of my kids. And I barely would do it in front of my wife. But I just feel like saying "I love you" is something that we just show as a sign of weakness. Sometimes, we don't want to show that weakness.
Mm-hmm.
How do you think love is a weakness though? Saying
That's
"I love you."
black folks. I mean, when you coming from slavery, like you said, slavery is not a part of our history, but it is, and this is how. Because when you can't really show that compassion because you don't want to get too attached to something, knowing that it can be taken away from you the next day. Like you had babies being taken from their mothers from birth. So you got parents that have raised their children, and next thing you know, they being sold off. When you generationally go through that, it's like me showing compassion and love and all that stuff. I can't send you out into the world being weak like that, knowing what could possibly happen tomorrow. And I feel like building on top of that for generations after generation is just, it just evolved and turned into a thing to where people just don't say "I love" black folks in general. I hear white males tell each other, "I love you, bro," and they be drunk as all outdoors and don't even care. You know, they mean that, you know, but black folks, we be like, "You tell you love me, bro."
Right. Like man, what I'm doing this, and it's like we keep that stigma going, but it's like we said, you got to end that curse. Like, you know, me and my true best friend, right? You know, we don't say I love you, we say one, and or you know, we put our hand over our heart, and that's just been our thing since we met years ago. But that's just the way, and I just think that everybody have to understand with people that everybody's love language is not going to be the same. But you need to meet them people where their love language is. Like I don't like to be touched. Don't touch me. Like that, me and touch is not what that is because I like growing up, like we didn't do the hugs and all of that stuff. So as an adult, like I still don't understand how to accept that. Like don't get me wrong, you know, I walk around, you know, I'm gonna smack my wife on the butt and everything like that. But as far as like I'm gonna hold your hand a little while, but like when I feel like it's too much, I'm gonna draw back. Like we can cuddle that night, but I'm gonna get hot and you gotta get away from me. So like all that right, that long term, like that long term emotion, like I don't understand it, and like I struggled in that in when we first met because it was like she understood it in a sense, and she was trying to project it to me, but I myself, I was like, this shit is weird.
How old were you when that was weird?
18, 19.
Because see,
I got married a month after.
I'm poking at something. I'm poking. You know what I'm poking at? I'm poking.
Do your thing, Master. Do your thing because I know where you're about to go to. Don't be the professor tonight.
That's why I say being
was I ready to be married at 18, 19? Well, was I ready to be married at 20? Like I told you, absolutely not. But in reality, I put myself in a situation and look where I'm at now. 8 years down the line, our shit ain't been sunshine and sunny days, but we taught each other lessons.
Yes.
She's shown me the right from my wrong. I've shown her the right from her wrong. Now, but at the end of the day, we taught each other the lessons that we needed in order to be whole people.
Now, let me ask this question to you. For the next generation, now, you know, we didn't went and did it all wrong. We didn't done it the different way. Now, for our next generation, what would you tell your 18 to 20-year-old son that's bringing home a young lady and he says, I want to marry this lady? What would you tell him? You say it's not going to work?
No, I said them young boys. They need to answer that question. I'm not going down that rabbit hole. That's the young boys because they at this stage right now.
No, let's go online. Let's go online. I want to hear from you.
We need to know what they going to do when they get to that point. Y'all, because y'all going to be like bad boys. We know y'all going to stay around the corner. Y'all always going to stay around the corner from each other. Knew the kid have gone a date. One of your 10 that you say you going to have.
Hell,
it's going to be right there.
Well, hold on. I want to know your opinion first, Lamonta. I want to know what you know, how you feel, being that you did it already. They going into it. You did it.
I'm saying truly, like, you know, my kids come home and they like, I want to get married. Shit, okay, that's your decision. You got to live with that decision. I don't got to like the motherfucker that you choose to marry. I don't.
Okay.
You got to lay next to this person. You got to live the rest of your life. And if you get a divorce, that's on you. Mm-hmm. They ain't got nothing to do with me. Whatever pain you put yourself through, I'm just here to high five you and congratulate you. That's it.
Me personally, if my son came home and told me that, I'd tell him, son, I must have missed out on a lesson or two. You know, I didn't tell you something right. And the reason why I say that is because at 19, are you genuinely at the resources to be able to take care of this woman? Make sure she's taken care of. Put insurance on your kids. You know, are you mentally ready for that? Are you just coming from a position where I was taking care of you your whole life. Now all of a sudden you're 18, 19, 20 years old. You want to go get married. You're not in position. And that's how, you know, and I'm not saying that for all. You know, this is what it got to be. This is not law. But I personally feel like for my children, if my son came to me and said, Daddy, I'm about to get married, I'd tell him, son, I must have missed a lesson because you're too young. You need to live life a little bit more. Make mistakes. and don't make those mistakes with someone under your responsibility. You're gonna be responsible for this woman at this point.
Okay, so young boys, I mean, you definitely I do want y'all to answer it because we definitely know that each one of y'all want to have a whole damn basketball team and a set of subs.
Well, I'll say this. I think, like, if you was my dad and you had told me that, it's too early, I'd feel disconnected, and I would feel like you're not allowing me to make my mistakes because you can't save me from everything. Like, I got to make my own mistakes, and I got to grow just as you did. And so, me getting married and experiencing that, I got to do it for me, and there's a reason why I got to do it. And so, if you were to in any way influence me or coerce the decision of me doing that, me and you would have a disconnect. Probably moving forward, I would hold you responsible for me in that relationship not going the way that I wanted it to.
You mean to tell me after 30 years old, that one relationship you would hold me against as a father at that age? And see that, and that's why I say when you make young, because see, there's a lot of decisions that I felt like I want to hold against my father that he told me. My daddy told me, "Won't be no stepdaddy at no 19 years old." Straight up, he said, "Don't you do that because now you're responsible for somebody else's legacy that ain't even doing nothing about it." And now to date, if I would have listened to him, I would have been a lot farther in life. Now I'm not saying this for everybody. I'm not saying this is law, but this is a personal opinion. If you are a young man, there's a lot of mental growth that needs to be happening. There's a lot of spiritual growth that need to happen. It's a lot different for women. Women are a little more submissive. They're a little more, there's certain things that certain women don't need to go through as an adolescent. Certain women are a little different. They come out ready for that. But they've been taught from that to that since they were kids, teaching them how to raise babies, giving them baby dolls. They've been groomed for marriage since they've been born. But men, not so much. We've been told to open doors and stuff, but we're not taught in the school systems to pay bills and take care of stuff like that. We're not taught that.
But I mean, that pretty much goes back into what we've been talking about is hurts people because if we're not being groomed to be this husband or whatever the case may be, then how can we go forward? But on that stuff, like we just, it's one of them situations where it's you damned if you do, but you damned if you don't. Wait, I think that's a good one. Hold on. So, Johnathan, Rebecca said, in black homes or any that didn't hear it growing up, love was shown as I'm your parent, you should know. I work to make sure that you have what you need. And a lot of us black parents, like they do, I get up and I go to work, so I feel like that me getting up and going to work, that shows that I love you.
It's not enough.
Okay, let me address, because I know her personally, so let me address that situation.
That's why I wanted to
I feel like once again, that's the whole point of hurt people. Because just because you're working and you're doing this, that's nothing to what your kid is going to see. Yes, your kid see you working. You're teaching your kid how to work. You're teaching your kid, hey, I got to go out here and do this. But you're not teaching your kid how to love. You're not showing them, hey, I love you. You're not sitting down having conversations with your kid. You just yell at them when you come home because your day was hard. That's not your problem. The kid went through a hard day at school too. You never know what happened at school. So you have to be on that level with your kids to be able to talk to them and understand them. It's not just about the parent in every situation. And if you make it that way, it's going to hurt your kids down the line. And it's going to make your kids not really kind of respect you or maybe not even want to talk to you. They're going to distance themselves from you. So you have to get a good understanding with your kids and learn and understand where they're coming from. Because just showing, hey, I'm going out to get this for you and I bought this for you. That's not love. Materialistic things are not love. Love comes from what's inside the person and feelings. You can buy me as many shoes as you want to, but I'm not going to love you for that. That's not teaching me how to love you.
And I mean, Toya, like, your dad being a girl dad, like only having girls, and I know how, I know from what I see now, his work ethic. Explain that for you growing up. How was that for you dealing with, a girl dad?
I mean, I know what to expect in the man that I do marry. I know I want from seeing my dad, he don't miss a day from work, even up until now. Even when he's sick, he still go to work. So it's like if I run into a man that, oh, he don't have no job or he don't have no steady income, no
No
support. Like
hustle.
how can you support me when I've seen my dad support my mom and my sisters for 30 years now? Like I know if my dad can do it, you can do it.
Mhm.
So I don't expect
Yeah.
nothing less.
So do you think that, you having that dad your whole life, do you think that set realistic expectations?
Definitely. Even for myself. Like I learned my worth ethic from my dad.
Interesting. Okay. Okay. In regards to hurt people hurts people, what is one way you've hurt someone that you recognize as a direct connection to a hurt or trauma that you experienced? I want to answer that. Whooping ass, okay? Y'all know me. I believe in the good belt. I believe in running I'm going to whoop them. I say it all the time, fuck them kids, but fuck them kids is only for parents that's around full time. You can't be a part-time parent saying fuck them kids. But that hurt that's been passed down for me was the whoopings. Quincy, we can attest to this. I had cuffs thrown at me. I got whoopings. I got a whooping with an extension cord out the shower. Like I was a horrible kid, and I ain't gonna lie. And I probably deserved a lot of the mass whoopings I got. But whoopings don't do nothing. Don't get me wrong. It takes a lot for me to whoop my kids now. But in the past, like my first few years of being a parent, like I fucked up a lot because I passed that trauma down on my kids. Like when I say like I was just whooping to be whooping. Like I used to get checkup whoopings, and I was doing the same thing with my kids. Like I ain't do nothing that week, but I got my ass whooped because I was planning to do something, and like I started to do that with JoJo. Like Joe was bad, and like I would whoop him, and then like maybe a few days later he'll get another whooping before he go to school because like I feel like you're gonna go to school and you're gonna do something today. But like now, like don't get me wrong, my methods has changed. It's teach again, reteach, and then it's discipline now. But that hurt from them whoopings, like they felt like that it was effective, but I don't feel like it's effective. And like now looking at them parents, like now they're emotional. Like, oh, I be telling my kids I'm gonna whoop you, but like now they be like, oh, I don't, we don't believe in whooping and stuff no more. So that same mindset that y'all had about whooping my ass, I took it to my kids, and I saw that wasn't effective parenting. So that's definitely something that I did. That's definitely some hurt that I passed down. But I was able to stop that cycle.
Mm. I need to hear that with whoopings. You either whoop your child, but that's another thing where, yeah, you're right. Hurt people, but it's just with whooping your kids. Shoot, I mean, you're gonna be wrong sometime when you whoop your child,
Yeah.
but that don't always result to you being a hurt person all the time.
Oh nah, bro, I was hurt because like I was just like I say, like my kids, like you'll get a one phone call from school and then boom, you're gonna get a whooping.
Mm-hmm.
Like I wasn't giving my kids the chance to make mistakes.
Yeah.
Like don't get me wrong, like now I'm still tough on my kids, but I allow them to make mistakes because they're kids. They 8 and 5. Like I can't expect my kids to wake up perfect every day. So like I tell my kids all the time that we wake up to be great, but like that trauma of whooping them, like I'm not gonna say I'm done with it, but I'm not sitting up and whooping my kids like that.
And us being young parents, we do that. Sometimes we expect our kids to be smarter than what we expect them. We want them to be above what they are at times.
Mm-hmm.
And that's just maybe because our parents told us that. Maybe our parents handled us that way. I know for me, I've had to kind of grow up. And, and I feel like personally, sometimes it's okay to take a parenting class or two. Nothing's wrong with that. Just like going to counseling. people look at it like, well, ain't nobody gonna tell me how to raise my kids, but somebody can advise you to do something different with your kids.
Well,
You know, and you
And
know,
so, like the young boys, like I definitely like. I want to know how y'all have passed that hurt down. Not that y'all, because y'all know, we know that y'all been in relationships for a while with both of y'all women. So how have y'all passed that hurt down to y'all women, and how has it been explained to y'all?
Well, I want to ask a question before I say something. My question is like when y'all whooping y'all kids, are y'all having conversations after? It's like, this is why I whooped you. I don't want to whoop you, but
not all the time.
Hell no, I be having a conversation while I'm whooping them.
Yeah, straight up. But,
I
yeah,
more have a conversation.
you more have a conversation.
Yeah.
I feel where he's coming from. A lot of people don't have conversations with their kids based on why they're whooping them or what they're in trouble for. You have to get an understanding with your kid. You cannot just whoop them and send them on their way. That's not going to help them learn. They're not going to learn from that. They're going to continue to rebel against what you're doing, and it's going to grow in a way that you're not going to want it to. A lot of people. No, I don't. But I've helped raise a lot.
You got kids.
So it's like you gotta be willing to sit there and talk with your child after you whoop them, or even before, because if you get an understanding of what they did and why they did it, you might not end up whooping them because it's just your anger that you're pushing off on them for their whooping. So before you whoop your kid, calm down, understand the situation, calm down, get an understanding first, and then go along with it.
I feel you on from a perspective of you don't have kids, so it's like when you in the heat, like my stepson, he put a hole in my wall. Now that was a situation where I literally had to calm down, not whoop him, because I love him so much. I said, you know what? Let me stop. Let me listen. Let me calculate myself before I go in there and going on. There are times when you do that, when it's just like, okay, wait a minute, this is too much, but when you got your own kids, when you raising them and you only want the best for them, every situation ain't gonna be perfect. We just got done talking about that with our own parents. Now situation was perfect with our parents, but as long as you ain't abusing these kids, and yeah, there's a conversation to go afterwards, but let's just not sit here and act like we all perfect. We're gonna sit here and just talk to these kids after we whoop them, because at the end of the day, they come in that living room, we all sitting down at the dinner table eating. We showing love. We not gonna sit here and keep beating the dead horse with the kids. So, when you live in-house with your kids every day, certain things happen, certain things go miss, certain things do, but I don't personally feel like every time you whoop your child is a conversation. He knew what they did wrong. They know what they did wrong sometimes.
Right. I think it just depends on the age of the child too.
Yeah.
If your child understand right from wrong, then you should have known that you shouldn't have put that hole in that wall.
Exactly.
But when you have like a toddler, a conversation. Me personally, I don't use belts or like Lamonta say extension cords to whip my child. My child, like I just pop them in the mouth and you go about your way because you shouldn't have did that. So
everybody had their own way, and
everybody got their own way.
But young boys, answer that question. What hurt have y'all projected on y'all spouses that you can be honest about? Because we know we've had private conversations, so we know that question can be answered. And that question came from one of the futures. Trouble.
You go first, Johnathan.
Nah, you got that one. That came from yours.
Yeah. Put me on the
spot. I think and especially in the beginning of my relationship, I didn't know how to have a relationship. What I seen in relationships was physical abuse, and so I never abused her, but I always was just aggressive in my conversations and aggressive in me saying whatever it was. Like I would cuss. That's what I know is curse words. And so me having conversations that should be simple, it'll be dragged because I'm unable to have conversation the correct way because of how I grew up and was taught to have conversations.
So you wasn't taught how to effectively communicate with your spouse, and
Yeah.
that led to the problems that y'all had now. But I mean, I know you know how to use your words now.
Yeah,
So
sometimes.
sometimes I understand. Just shut down. It works better than you yelling at customers. So Johnathan, you up next since you pushed it out. She gonna throw some across the kitchen. She
I would have to say, I push a lot of, as you said earlier, not want to be touched, not saying the word love. I didn't really do that because it didn't happen to me. So it's taking some time to get used to, which I'm trying, because we all still learning in life. But I don't like to be touched. You don't touch me. Don't want to cuddle. None of that. And you can say I love you. I might say it back on a good day. It just depends. And that was one of the things I had to learn. So now it's like I try my best to say it back as much as I can because I've seen so many bridges be burned just over that word and just over how we treat people. And then as far as when we first got together, I wasn't the best boyfriend. I had 3 or 4 of the girls at the time, and I was doing the wrong thing. And
wow, boy.
Yeah, and after realizing after going through the whole point of everybody finding out and me being hurt, they being hurt, it's like, how I'm hurting. I'm the one that's causing all the pain. And I had to learn from that. And I grew, and now we married. And it just, if you can't learn from any situation, you're not going to grow.
Okay. I mean, definitely. So, okay, we definitely got a few things to flow into next week. I think that this is the longest one that we've done this far, and I know it was kind of long because everybody was here tonight, but I definitely want to keep going, and we're gonna keep growing. And like I feel like that as we continue to sit down and have these talks, like everybody is gonna be able to heal from their trauma. All of us are in a space to where we know that we need some type of therapy, and we all are coming here together, and we actually sitting down, and we actually unpacking what's going on with us. So other than us spending that $80 an hour to sit on somebody else's couch, we rather sit here on this live or on these recordings and unpack it together. I do feel like that all of us together, that we'll get somewhere. So I do want to just continue to grow, just continue to heal, and just continue to. Ooh.
Why is your wife?
Him in trouble.
That's your wife calling.
Are that mine? Ooh.
You in trouble.
Okay. Crazy stuff.
But as always, Angel, you gonna give us a wrap up, the good professor?
Yeah, man. I'm just gonna say this. Just to wrap it up, hurt people. Y'all gonna get help. Acknowledge the fact that you were hurt. Don't go into no relationship hurting other people. That's just wrong. And y'all stay prayed up.
As always, therapy for my soul. I do thank y'all for joining. Thank Trouble for definitely giving us some good comments tonight. Thank my sister for definitely, talking about that trauma that we did go through in our household and everybody else. And as always, to Miss Toya, thank you for joining this All Men podcast and being a part of us. As always, it's therapy for my soul. Thank y'all. Yeah.